let me get speed. I give about 5 seconds. Go ahead.
Pete Traynor, you are a legend to a lot of my generation of musicians. No one has ever seen you, or very few people ever see you, but everyone talks about you. Can you tell me how this started? How did the Traynor amp start?
Well, I started out as a musician, and
what do you play?
I actually started playing guitar for Robbie Robertson in his band. We had a little band, and we snuck into the Edison Hotel on Yonge Street. It used to be on, I think it was Collier and Yonge then. Anyway, Bo Diddley was playing. We had to find out because he had this sound that was so different, right? And I managed to crawl in and get a peek in behind the apparatus, and that's where it sort of started playing around with things, trying to make funny sounds, not really understanding the electrical part too well. But after damaging a lot of my father, who was an electrical engineer's equipment, he sat me down and gave me some facts of life on that, which helped me to do meaningful fooling around.
Things like amperage, voltage, those big
those
small
kind
stuff.
of things, yeah. And don't tie the two positives together. They really bang good. And one day I was in a store, and there was a fairly good guitar player that was in visiting the store owner on Queen Street, long gone, from Nashville. And he played this Chet Atkins thing. And I couldn't believe that this all could come out of one person. So I told him, and he had this one very simple tune of his, and he showed me how to do it. And I worked and worked and worked. And after about 3 weeks of working on it, I went out to Robbie's place for a rehearsal. And after the rehearsal was over, I started doing this thing to show off, and he went, wow. 2 weeks later, I was playing bass, and he was playing guitar. And I always wondered why, but now, after all these years, and the success that he has had as a songwriter and musician and guitar player, I mean, I was lucky enough to be taught by the greatest in the world, Robbie, Dominic, Freddie Keeler. These people would spend hour upon hour, and Dominic more so than a lot, because he was a perfectionist, and he would take the time after playing a gig to come in and work with us on equipment, and it was he added a lot. And the whole thing is like a band, that company, it's like musicians, a group of them. If they all get together and play their part right, it comes out great. But I had put my name on them because I was making my own at the start, all for me. Because you couldn't buy good bass amps in those days. Guitar amps were good. Fender had a good guitar amp. 410 open back, but the bass would just make it flat. I hated it. I wanted something with boom.
You created the amp that did it.
But through this trial and error over a few years, and one day I stumbled into Long McQuade's, and they had a repairman who had left them with a pile of amplifiers that poor Jack didn't know what he was going to do, because they were all coming in Saturday. I think this was a Wednesday, and they had this old beat up amp. That was an old Gretsch with the music, the treble clef in the wood. And I opened it up and realized that the speaker was capped, but the basic power amp was the same as the Fender Bassman. It was the same basic. So I went home and put the tone controls to it, and I had been building these boxes for myself. So I built a nice new box, which wasn't really that difficult for an open back amp. And I had some nice grill cloth. I had discovered a company that bought up all the old car industry's upholstery. So I had leatherette in different varieties. There was, as I recall, it was a grayish color, and they were going to pitch it. I brought it back in the next day, and I have a little thing that I had invented. It was an AV switch, which was a car light dimmer switch. If you remember the old, so you plug the instrument in here, and one amp in one side, one in the other, and you could go from one to the other quickly and really make an assessment. So in doing that, it blew away the fender. I mean, for bass, you know. And Jack, how much is that going to cost me? Well, I guess it was cheap because he let me go back and make an attempt at repairing the amps he had back in the back room. And I stayed there until I think he came in about 9 o'clock at night after a gig, or maybe it was about 10. He had been playing, and I was just finishing off. And I said, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. And they're all done. Well, there can't be. There's more upstairs. I said, no, those are done. Because when you do that, you go through them all, and you find out that most of them are fairly simple. It's just quick. And the hard ones are only 2 or 4. So those were I was able to handle. Because I've been building them for about 5 years at this time. So
you knew your stuff.
I knew enough to do that. So he offered me a job to come in and do his repair work for him. And I had friends coming in and wanting him to build them bass amps. And one day he came back and said, you know, they make great rental products. And voila, with his knowledge, he was a genius in the business world.